Hey guys, Crowbar Zero here, and today I just wanted to talk about masteries and how masteries are absolutely insane. And so, just gonna go into it. I put a little picture of my current coins per minute personal best right there on the left there with masteries are insane, just to kind of drive home the point. Like it's absolutely insane. I think last version I was making like a third of the coins per minute as I am now, and it's just it doesn't look like much on the surface, but when everything compounds, just like everything else in the game, like it gets out of control and it's absolutely nuts. Like I love it. Um, so yeah, you guys probably came here to be like, let's see what's going on. What are these things having an effect? And then maybe even talk like a little bit of a tier list and kind of give some of my thoughts about actually using some of these masteries. How do they play into the game at large? And are you at a point where maybe the masteries are good for you, or maybe not? We'll see. But anyway, to get started, for the masteries, you need to at least have all your cards maxed out. So, all purple stars here, and so we've got basically a different flavor of a bonus. So when you unlock a mastery, we'll go to damage. Um, Here, actually, let's go to something that I haven't unlocked yet. So we'll talk about like attack speed. I haven't unlocked this yet, but it starts off, so like level 0 of this for the labs would be, you unlock it, you have level 0 of it, and then that first level will get you up to times 1.06. And most of these will go up to about, I think it goes up to like a level 9. So if you just take these bonus usually in like times 10 it, that'll be the max effect after you finish all the labs for this. So it's a mix of you have to put stones in, and you have to dump a lot of lab time, and the labs are stupidly expensive. Like these are like really end game labs here. For each level, it's I believe it's 1.1 quintillion coins, and that does change with utility or lab discount. Um, but the lab discount doesn't really go incredibly high. Here, let me just pull up mine over here. So I got level 50, and we're just going to look at that really quickly. Yeah, level 50. You're only getting a 15% discount. So at max, you're getting a 30% discount. Um, maybe this is something that you may or may not want to max out. But yeah. But anyway, you can see the ones that I have going right now. Um, but I'm gonna jump over to the actual cards themselves so we can talk about that. So just going through here, damage for the most part, it's pretty inexpensive. I believe it was 750 stones to unlock, which is still expensive. It's like 2 tournaments worth of winnings or a stone pack to get this, but the bonus is it's another multiplication of everything, so it's really nice. Um, there's no like crazy string attach or quirks. It's like a lower cost out of the masteries, and then you just lab it and you get a really nice bonus in the end. For damage, I would put this at like an A tier, mostly because of the lower entry cost, and like it gives a really sizable bonus, sustained bonus. There's no quirks or tricks with it. Um, Attack speed. So later game, this is really going to affect maybe like a little bit of knockback, but mostly you're going to be getting this for hopefully enhancing chain lightning, or yeah, pretty much chain lightning. Um, I haven't gotten this yet. It's a little bit lower on my list of things to get done. I would probably rate this maybe about like C or D. I'll rate it as like a probably more on this side of like a D rank, just because it's really focused towards, you're probably going to get the most effect out of chain lightning, specifically chain lightning damage, which you're going to be hoping that it's going to be amping on enemies. So that's where this will help out. Assuming that yeah. Anyway, so chain lightning with the chain lightning amp versus scatters. So really niche use in this case. Health. So I'm actually torn on the effective hit point stuff. From what I was looking at in as far as like the enemy thresholds, as far as like their damage and everything, and all the stuff that I have to mitigate enemy damage. I'm super torn on this. Like, this could be either F, or it could be a like C to B, maybe even A rank, depending on where you're at. You might be able to get more effective health with health, regen, and extra defense. So extra defense just gives you an extra, at the very end, it's going to be an extra 7% defense, which is not a lot for tournament, but it'll fill up, add more effective hit points effectively to everything. I'm saying effective a lot. Regen kind of goes along with that. I'm not at a point right now with all of my health labs and my regen and all of that stuff. Obviously, because I don't have the mastery over here. It might actually do me a lot of good to get this. I'm not sure. It's really hard to give these a rank right now. It seems like everything is really pushed towards more damage with these masteries. So as far as like health, is it hybrid? Is it effective hit points? Or is it just full glass cannon? It's really hard to say right now in the meta where things are at. So just a word of caution. If you already have stuff, which usually at this point most people are going to have some sort of a glass cannon setup, go ahead for all the glass cannon stuff first. All the damage, all the coins, all the cells, all of that fun jazz. And, some of the niche stuff to help mitigate things like rays and bosses. I think that's kind of where this is at. Let's see. Range. So range, for this one specifically, you really want to make sure that you have Spotlight Plus, and hopefully moderately to maybe maxed out to get the most out of this. Given the math, I think this will max at a ×3. So the pluses on that is, the farther enemies are out, the more damage that they're going to be taking, 3 times of what they would have without this card. And then as they get closer, it's once they get right up to your tower, you're going to be losing this effect. So for this card specifically, it's a nice, somewhat consistent bonus. It's going to really help out chain lightning damage more than anything else, and specifically to kind of fill up as much or make more use out of chain lightning thunder in combination with Spotlight Plus, versus like if somebody's just going to go with chain lightning plus and use that percentile damage as a way to kind of knock enemy hit points down and hopefully reduce, I say hopefully because there's an RNG component to this. But yeah, that's kind of my thought. I think this is really going to shine with SL plus, chain lightning damage, and probably chain lightning thunder. Probably going to give this, the damage bonus isn't bad, and that's a plus. The barrier to entry is on the lower side. I think I'm gonna rate it as like a C. Kind of mid ground, easy to get into, difficult to really get the maximum amount of it, but when you can, it's a pretty sizable bonus. Cash. So you get a chance for elites to drop reroll dice instead of just bosses. This is gonna on its own is not bad. It's not bad. Getting reroll dice and rerolling all your substats is absolute hell. I hate it. I'm waiting for the thing that Fuds mentioned, where he's supposedly we're gonna get something to help rolling out substats. So this is not too bad, but I would say this has a dependency. And I'm just gonna jump down here to enemy balance. And I would say that dependency is you really want to get enemy balance first because it gives you a chance to get double elites. And I think this probably gets around to maybe like 50%. Or no. I think it's a. Ooh. Is it 40? 44%? It might be around. No, I've got level 5, so. Yeah, it's probably going to be around 50% or so that you'll get double elites. So you want as many elites as possible to get as much reroll dice out of this as possible, and hopefully that makes rerolling substats a lot less hellish compared to what it currently is. Coins. So I'm just gonna rate this. I would say that enemy balance. From what I remember, I think it was 1,000 stones to get into, so a little bit higher entry cost. This I would definitely say is an econ. If you're gonna get more shatters as a result of this, this is gonna be a big boost to your GT plus combo counter as a result of this. So, and you're getting more cells. So this I would say is probably like an A. Yeah, I think it's about like an A to maybe an yeah A rank. I think is a good spot for that. And then as far as cash goes, because it has that dependency, but it has a really low. I think this is the lowest cost of entry out of any of these. If you already have good module stats rolled, I would say probably on the lower end of the spectrum. If you're just having absolute dog poop luck with rolling substats, then this is going to be very desirable, possibly even S rank for you. So I'd say, and if you have enemy balance, you could argue that this might be S rank for your situation. But if you have all your substats rolled out and you're good to go, then I would say maybe this could drop down to an F. So F to an S depends on where you're at. I think that's the best ranking that I can give this. Coins. So the nice part about this is it's just a flat bonus to your coins as long as you have this card equipped. It's you're not doing any sort of tricks, but it is a little bit of higher barrier to entry at 1,250 stones to get into this. So you're kind of like, well, I'm kind of foolproof, but at the same time, it's not the largest bonus in the world. But given the cost of all of the masteries, especially when you're researching like a level 9, that's a base cost of like 9.9 quintillion. And then, knock down a bit from that lab that I mentioned earlier. So this is where this comes into play as far as like, it's a necessity and it's really going to help. But it might not shine compared to some of the other things. So I'm going to put this at like just given how useful it is and how long it continues to be useful, I think also boosts its value. So I'm going to give it an A rank. Yeah. despite its higher barrier entry to cost, or to entry. Yeah, cost to entry. Slow aura. So this is gonna delay the enemy attacks. So it's gonna be a nice little counter for that battle condition that basically slows down the enemy's attacks. Really comes into play specifically with Rays and usually bosses around this time of the game, but I would say mostly for Rays because they just do so much more damage. The faster they can attack, um, like they're insanely more dangerous as a result. Faster attacks. So this really is like a direct tool to counter Rays, and highly recommend it for that. I'm not at the point of getting it. I really, really want it, but I'm not quite there yet. I got the stones for it, but I'm torn between a couple of different tools right now. So we'll see. That and my labs are absolutely just cram packed with stuff right now. So, yeah. For slow aura, that's another one. Depending on where you're at. For me specifically, generally I have more issues with bosses versus Rays. Sometimes Rays do land the killing blow, and it's becoming more common. I've noticed, especially the more I stretch out my range compared to being minimal range, like I used to be. So I it's a medium high barrier to entry, very very specific. So I think I'm gonna give it a mid row of a C, just because it's a counter for something that's really dangerous. Yeah, I think that's yeah. I think that's the best ranking I can give it. Now, if you're not getting killed at all by Rays, then it's probably a lot less for you. For me, it might be as low as like a D, I think, specifically for my case. But definitely, if there's like enemy attack speed, battle condition, this becomes progressively more valuable. Critical chance. So, critical chance. This one adds up to 10% crit chance, super crit chance, and super crit factor. So, for especially for the super crit chance and crit factor, I think that's about a 20% increase for each of those. So, versus like crit chance, that'll be, I think you're maybe in the, if you've got everything maxed out for crit chance, I think it's like 120 something percent chance for crit chance. So like 20, 25, somewhere around there. So it doubles that crit of a crit chance before you get the super crit. And yeah, I think this takes it at max probably around the 40 range to the 50s. So it's not, versus some of them, it's not giving the boost of like ×3 damage or something along those lines. So it's not quite as powerful. But I think it's still useful. It's still something to seriously consider, and pretty desirable. It has a lower stone cost entry, but I don't think it's as powerful per se. I don't know. So maybe it's a yeah. I don't think it quite reaches like giving you double damage overall. So I would say this is probably around the lines of a C rank, I would say, just because lower entry to get into, but it's not going to give like the immense power of some of these other things like damage. Extra defense. Oh, this is going to be a lower ranked one, just because it's a 7% at max. It's kind of nice that it's consistent, but right now it seems like, or at least where I'm at, where I'm seeing it, and I could definitely be wrong, and I probably am, for like the super late game guys. But But right now, there's not a whole lot of value, I think, in this. So we'll see. This will be something down the road that I'll explore. So right now, I'm gonna give it a. I'm gonna give it a D rank, and maybe completely as low as like an F rank if there's absolutely no use higher on. But I think maybe at least there's like a little bit of use. Not even for farming if you've got the substat to max out everything. So, yeah, actually, you might not even need the substat on your defense module with this. So, yeah, with the cost and everything, I think I'm gonna leave it as a D rank. I think that's a pretty fair spot for it, and it's got some use of being able to possibly free up that substat slot, but it's kind of a high cost. Fortress, it lets you rebuild your wall faster. So at max, that's going to be an extra 100 seconds. Offer rebuild, so I think it's, let's see. There's also a thing in the vault which decreases, I think, the cooldown for rebuild. So I think you could get it down to maybe around like 80 seconds. Maybe it's even as low as like 60. But compared to like right now, I have a 200-second rebuild. So, but usually when you start losing your wall, you're looking at, possibly dying anyway. So, this is a mixed bag. It could also just, be there as a barrier to soak things. So, like, effectively, like an extra energy shield kind of use. But because it's farther out, it's going to get hit a lot more frequently than your tower. So, I think this one, I could be wrong, but I think I'm going to rate this one as an F. And it pains me to do that, but like I really want wall rebuild to have a lot more value. Maybe eventually in the vault we'll have more wall rebuild kind of cooldowns. But for now, I think that's where I'm going to put that. Free upgrades. So this basically, if you have it equipped, you can lock certain upgrades so that they never get increased as far as let's see, set this before the run starts and cannot be changed mid-run. And I think that just are not impacted by free upgrades. So you could lock range so the free upgrades don't affect it. It's probably not going to take a lot of labs. I don't see you ever needing to max this. So that's kind of nice. It's a lower barrier of entry of like 500 stones. I think it's more of a quality of life, but it does, I think, open up some scenarios where you might be able to, especially if you're using like black hole digester, really tailor down some of your stats to, what you need to be able to farm with that module. And I think now that they're the 100% is now increased, so you can get double free ups for having like 120% free ups. This becomes a lot more viable for black hole digester farmers. And for that kind of farming, I would say that's even later game than where I'm at. So you need to have like that's probably like top 10 are really gonna like this, but I'm not there. Extra orbs. So extra orbs, it basically turns your orbs into another way to gain coins. So I believe this maxes out at a 40% bonus once you have it at maxed out at level 9. Right now I only have a 12% increase. But it's definitely changing up my strategy on how I'm going about farming. And as you saw earlier on the left, It's working out pretty well so far, so hopefully I can keep that up. And since everything is on the lower end, once everything gets maxed out, maybe I'm going to see something like 40 to 50 trillion a minute, kind of personal best peaks, maybe even more. I don't know. Like this is a new frontier for a lot of us. So yeah. Um, Extra orbs, it's niche. You got to have some of the tools in place already. So you want to have a pretty large spotlight angle so that when the orbs kill, because they're not going to discriminate between based on damage bonus that you're going to get from spotlight. You want to have as much spotlight coverage as possible, so you're not killing enemies outside of your spotlight. For this, because of that, I don't remember the cost to get in. I think it's probably like mid range. Um, but you do need coins, and that gives you a bonus to coins. I feel like because of the dependencies, I'm gonna have to give this a rank of C. Um, yeah, but it's important if you get all the tools in place. A very large spotlight coverage. Right now, I've got 85 out of 90 degrees coverage, so that's where this is actually useful. If I had something like 70 or less, maybe not, because it'd be stealing kills from spotlight. But maybe at that point you would have to max it to make it useful. It's really hard to say. But at lower levels, if you don't have near max coverage, it's probably going to hurt you more than anything else. Yeah, I think C rank is probably a good spot. It gives you a little bit more bonus at the end than you would from just the flat coin bonus. Um, and coins are universally going to be useful, so I think C rank is probably a fair spot to place that. Plasma cannon, pretty high entry cost. But what it does is you've got a percentage, or you fire at your plasma cannon um, at elites instead of just bosses now. It looks like it's 100%, so that's amazing. And then it does percent damage to any elite enemy. So this is really nice, especially in combination with Chain Lightning Plus. So this is probably going to max at like 50%. And then if you've got like another 50% coming from Chain Lightning Plus, you're gonna wreck Rays with this. Like this is with that combination. I don't think there's a Rays that should ever touch you yeah, unless there's like a oh wait, but let's see. Dropping its health by, so if it's 5%, so maybe it's actually like a 2.6% damage at base level, up to, I'm guessing, maybe around like 26% damage on just like base level, so like your rays. Vampires and shatters have a little bit more health, but at the end game, they're not nearly as dangerous as rays. So, yeah, I think this is a very nice, almost hard counter. Well, maybe not a hard counter, but like a very strong counter versus ray type enemies, especially when it's maxed out. I'm worried though about this as far as battle conditions. If there's like a reduced effect on plasma cannon, this would probably affect this pretty heavily. So have a lot of different tools on your side to be able to deal with elites, and you're better off with that. Because the high entry cost and because it could be countered by battle conditions, I mean, it's very strong, but on the other hand, it can be really hard countered. So I'm going to put it as a D rank. Crit coin. So this you've got a 33% chance to have a single coin drop from basic enemies. This at max will bring it up to 100% to have, 33% chance to get double coin once it's completely maxed out, because that'll max out at 100. So it'll still be that 33% chance. I think where I'm at right now, which is pretty late in the run, let's look at the enemy composition. So 27% chance that a basic enemy is going to spawn. 33% chance of that, so you're looking at maybe 10 basics, out of 100 are going to be coming in that you're going to get 2 coins from total or something. Yeah, I don't think it's as strong as some of the others. Let's head back there. So, given that it's got a moderate cost, it is something to increase your econ. So if you're really, really struggling, this might be something that you want to dip into, but I think this might be on the lower end of things that you might want to get, unless you just can't get orbs to work. If orbs are really detrimental to your build, I would say this would probably have more value. But otherwise, I would place it in... Yeah, I think I'll put it in a C rank, just because coins are really useful. Even though it's not fantastic at doing that job. It'll give you a little bit more. Wave skip, alright. Getting one of the juicy ones. So, yeah, this is gives you a chance to not only wave skip, and give you a 10% boost to, in the card it says... cash and coin, but I think they increased it so it even affects cells. So yeah, so this probably needs to be updated. 10% increase, especially to cells, very nice, very, very nice. Yeah, whenever I start hitting some of those, and I think that's how I got that. Oh, you can't even see my mouse. I'm like circling my mouse around and it's not showing it. Sorry, I just realized that. Yeah, having that percent chance to double wave skip is really, really nice. It makes your runs go faster. You're getting value not only as a boost, but also that you're just completely skipping that particular wave. So overall, I'm gonna give this a nice, healthy, like, I don't know, I feel like a B plus. Feels about where this should be at. It's not like completely overpowered, but it's in a really nice place. And I think this will max out at I'm thinking maybe 50%, so 90% chance of skipping a wave, and then maybe it breaks it down to like half the time you get a single skip, and then the other half the time you get double skips. Still really nice. Intro sprint. Yeah. Wave skip. Yeah, B plus or an A, I think would be fair for that. Intro sprint. Whoo! This one's insane. So, everyone hates the beginning of your farming run. You get absolute garbage for coins per minute, and you've got to sit there and you've got to build up all your perks, and hopefully your perk luck is okay. When this is maxed at level 9, it lets you skip a total of 1,800 waves. 1,800 waves. At that point, you are deep into your perks. If you've got all 3 of your perk wave requirements, awesome. You know that you're pretty much solid for the rest of your run. If you're not, then you might as well just restart, and it's not really a whole lot off your shoulder. Absolutely amazing run, and it's intimidating for other players as you start a tournament run and you intro sprint, and they're like, oh, I'm wave 30, and you're like wave 300, 400. Like, it's absolutely unhinged, unreal, and just yeah. So there definitely was quite a few speed hacker um, reports as far as like, oh hey, we think this person's speed hacking when in fact they were actually using this effect. Um, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. And it just takes your farming for like let's say you're farming and then you're like, oh, I've got to stop for tournament. No, you can just jump in the tournament, slam tournament out, and then go right back to farming. So it's I want to give it an A rank, maybe even as far as going to give it an S rank, because oh man, it feels so good to use. Now, this isn't going to be for everyone. Now, if you are in a position where you are relying on the number of death waves to proc to build up that pool of death waves, um, for death wave, death wall farmers, this is not ideal to use, in which case it loses a lot of value. But if you're using other methods to gain your coins, oh, I love this card. I love it. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Um, at worst, I would give it like an A plus. If you're going like really long runs, let's say you're going 10k runs or 10k waves in a farm. You know, with this, effectively, you're only looking at maybe like 8k farms worth or 8k waves worth of actual time that you're worried about. And I'm rounding, I know that, but so maybe in those cases it's like a 20% boost. But it's yeah, it's love. Like you're not wasting time with this thing, which feels amazing. I want to rush it out, but right now there's some other things that I need to get done first. But I love this thing so much. Landmine stun. So this is kind of like that effect with poison swamp with that module harmony conductor. Um, basically gives them a chance to miss attacks. So at maxed out, that's looks like a 25% chance. That's pretty decent actually. So if you do something like this, I would definitely say try to get landmine radius substat. I think that would work really really well in combination with this. It does have a medium entry into it, but as far as like tournament performance and just stray shots from like rays, which are usually a big problem, or maybe even bosses, yeah, I think this is pretty valuable. I haven't picked it up, and I'm kind of in this like, oh, I want to, but I don't. There's not going to be a huge value in my farms. So I think because of that cost, it's not contributing a ton to my farms. I think I'm gonna land this as like a C. Like it's an average, like a pretty decent effect. Recovery package. This is another one that I absolutely love. So with this, if you're pretty much running like a standard node where like every 10 waves you get a boss, with this you're probably, once it maxed out, you're earning a little bit over like 1,000 module shards, and that's 1,000 per module type every day. If you're like 24/7, constantly farming, like pretty much I am. I've got a few downtimes here and there where I just miscalculate things, and maybe an ultimate weapon isn't up when I should, and like poison swamp towards the end of the run, and it ends prematurely. That'll screw up my runs, but yeah, this is up there. This is gonna really help you level up your modules and because of that, I think it's a pretty significant econ boost in that, like the module shard econ. So personally, I'm going to give this an S rank. It's always going to be useful until at some point in the very distant future where it becomes not useful, but you pretty much had to get this. Pretty much, I think max level is supposed to be 200 on modules, and they get like super expensive the higher you go. So I think this is a necessity at some point in everyone's build. Highly recommend it. I rushed this one very early on, and I don't regret it at all. Death Ray, so usually at this point, protectors aren't a big deal. And then on top of that, there's a chance that you could have, Death Ray deals, instead of instant killing, it just goes down and reduces damage. So maybe you're doing like 5% of an enemy's health worth of damage if you hit them with Death Ray. Yeah. This one, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna rank this one as like I want to say F. I want to say F tier. Like it really pains me. Maybe at some point there's a use case for this, but 750, maybe 500 stones. It just I think this is too expensive for what it does. And what it does is pretty minor. So that's going to be my take on that. And it only maxes out at 50% chance to be able to pierce a protector shield and hit the enemies inside. Yeah. And then there's enemies that are just flat out immune to it, so it's not even useful to begin with. So, yeah. Not so happy about that one. Now, if this made, like, being able to hit bosses and elites actually take off, like, a small percentage, even up to, like, hard-coded, even if you've got, like, a battle condition where it's only taken off, like, 5% of their total health. At that point, I think I would give it more valuable, like more value versus, yeah. But in its current state, I have to rank it as an F. Energy net, this is something that I probably need to get in my near future because bosses are a pain in my behind. And so total, this is going to give you 14.3 seconds worth of game time as soon as you hit with energy net. Because it hits, the enemy is in and stunned by energy net, and then 10 seconds after the fact, you get a damage amplifier. So at times 10, that's times 20 damage. You're able to get more chain lightning, damage off on a boss at times 20. If you've got smart missiles hitting the boss, they're going to be hitting a lot harder. So for me specifically, this is like I want to say it's like a B plus or an A kind of area, but I know rays tend to be overall about where I'm at, tends to be more dangerous for most people, and because of that, it's probably dropping down to maybe like a B C for everyone else. But it has a lower entry of cost, so I think a B for most other players other than myself is probably a fair ranking to give this. Second one, I already kind of talked about, regen, health, and all of that. It lasts for 400 waves, so it's like if your Angel Wings proc or your Second Wind, it's going to last a good chunk of time. It's going to last until you probably not, get it refreshed. So it's going to pop once, it's going to be useful, and then you're probably going to get like one shot or something like that down the line. If there is a use beyond what I can see right now, and probably I think maybe like the top 5 players might be able to see if there's any use in this. It's a moderate stone cost to be able to get this, and it's only at the like the very tail end of a run. So if they do see any use at that point, I would probably rank it maybe D. But otherwise, for the vast majority of people, it's going to be like an F rank. Demon mode, absolute beast. Especially when you kind of like in so basically the vault, there will be a few things like second wind, demon mode. Actually, no, not the second one. Demon mode, barrage, and nuke both have a thing where when they come off the cooldown, it'll auto refresh. You really want that for demon mode. It's so basically you proc it. So let's say I jump into a tournament. I go, like 900 waves. At the end of those 900 waves, then you can proc a demon mode, and then if you have that cooldown lab where it's only 300 waves, you can basically, as soon as the demon mode is off cooldown, it procs again, and you pretty much have this damage multiplier for the rest of the match. And right now I only have it at level 3. I think it starts out at 1.5, and then you get an extra 50% every level. So this will climb quite a bit. Like it's a really nice damage multiplier, very powerful. You have the contingency of you do need to do the labs, and you probably should have at least the when it comes off cooldown to be able to auto refresh. Those are the 2 contingencies that I would say that you have to need, or you would really need. But you pretty much you're stuck at this like whatever the damage bonus is, which is a good thing, for the rest of the round. So I think this is I would give it like an A, maybe even A plus rank. It's really good. It's up there with the damage. It might have a little bit of higher barrier of entry cost to get in. So yeah, probably A is a good spot. Yeah. Energy shield. So if enemy hits your energy shield, you get like a pushback on all the enemies, and it deletes any of the shots that are going towards you. So let's say a boss is come in, the boss hits you, and the ray is in the process of charging, or it's already shot. It pushes them back, and their charges reset, and the shot is completely gone. So nice little like somewhat anti-ray mechanic in there, but the pushback from leveling it, not super thrilled about it, but it will give you some extra time to kill enemies, and especially with chain lightning reaching farther out. That will go well with Spotlight Plus. So yeah, my ranking's not all that great though for this, because you're not getting energy shield like popping off all the time, helping you out. So use case, I feel like a D minus, maybe just a D is about where this card should be at. Wave accelerator. So basically, it speeds up the normal enemies as far as their spawn rate. From what I could tell from the patch notes, it doesn't seem like this affects elites, so just the normal enemies. So you're not getting, it's not affecting your cells income as much, but it's definitely going to affect how many enemies are coming at you in a particular round. I think the spawn rate for elites are separate, so even though you've got like 100% on spawn rate on your very varying amounts of normal enemies, and I think bosses have their own It's like 100%, whenever they need to spawn, and then elites have their own spawning table beyond that. So this is just for like the normal enemies. So you'll get coins a lot faster in a round, and so it'll probably make some of your early mid earnings a lot better than they could have. Possibly detrimental in tournaments, but overall, because you're getting so many more enemies so much faster, you're getting more coins. Those coins could be going towards building up your workshop, your enhancements, all of that. Overall, it's a net plus, I would say. And so overall, for the ranking of this, it starts at like a 10%, and then it goes up, another 10% every single level. I would rank this as an A because it does have a pretty substantial effect even at low levels that you can actually notice. Yeah, but it's not quite S because there could be a little bit of detriment in tournaments. But if you're already maxing out the number of enemies in tournaments anyway, no big deal. Which I think is 56 enemies spawn in a wave. So, let's see, Berserker. All right, so this one also has some contingencies. It's got a relatively low cost, but you're mostly going to see the effect of this towards the end of the run. And you definitely need to really max out the lab on this, because at base level it's only 30 seconds of getting that up to 500 times damage boost, which is absolutely incredible. Like, it's insane. But here's the thing: you need energy shield, because you're gonna want to defy death, and so your enemies are going to be shooting. Sometimes the defy death will prevent the loss of an energy shield, and then this is where this will kick in and be super powerful. But by the time that this wears off, you become very vulnerable, and you hope that this can proc as soon as possible, and you can just continue it. So, very extremely powerful effect. Very sketchy on its use, very RNG if you're going to be able to make use of that full 500 times damage all the way through. This is very, very tempting for me to build or to grab, because I just got enough card slots so that I can have energy shield back into my build for my farming build, and then of course I have it during my tournaments. Yeah, but this requires a lot of investment to really use properly. So I'm not quite there with my labs. I've got some other things that I need to knock out first. I'll just leave it at that. But after that, I think I will be picking this up probably closer to, or if not, early December. So I will be getting this in the nearest future, and hopefully getting this knocked out pretty quickly. Ultimate crit. So gives a chance for basically your ultimate weapons to crit, and versus like your crit stats just giving a flat bonus damage to all your ultimate weapons. You actually have a chance to crit with whatever the tower crit factor is. Not too bad as far as the barrier of entry, but yes, it's doubling your chance to get an ultimate weapon crit, but that number is on the lower side, so it's kind of a mixed bag. It's good. Yeah. At best case scenario, it's a roughly about a ×2 damage, maybe. Probably mostly shines with chain lightning damage. A little bit with smart missiles sometimes. You might be able to get a few of them in that might actually hit for this, and you'll be able to delete some bosses a lot easier. But it's really hard to say because it's all luck. It's, you know, if RNG is in your favor, you delete the boss. If it isn't, then you take the hit. So it is what it is, but it'll definitely help that RNG factor. For this one, I think I will give it a like a decent bonus, lower entry of cost. I want to say like a C plus, because the bonus overall is like, it's not bad, and the entry to get in is not bad. So maybe like a C plus, B minus, somewhere in there. Nuke. So this is another going to be effect where it's dependent on having the vault. So the vault will auto proc your nuke whenever was it like it looks like it's going to be 300 waves. You can tell that I do not have the labs done for this. So if I did have the labs done, you know, and I had enough keys to be able to jump over and grab the auto nuke, I think I would probably grab this because it doesn't cost as much stones as the slow aura. So this is 750 versus 1000. You're getting about the same amount of slow on each of them. I think they both stack. So yeah, maxing out at 50% reduced attack speed. Good for anti-rays, and yeah, for this one, it's such a mix because it's almost tied, honestly, with slow aura, and that's mostly because yes, it has dependencies that you need, but it doesn't cost as many stones to get, 250 less. Which at this stage of the game, it's like it's a lot, but it's not a lot. You really want to spend your stones wisely. So with the vault and everything, it doesn't cost too much to get the auto effect. It's just, you know, you got the labs here that you have to worry about to get there. So you've got 2 sets of labs to really make this useful. I think I would probably rank it about. You know, I think I rate the slow aura about a B or so. So yeah, this will be a good anti-ray tool, and then you know you get to clear out a bunch of enemies every 300 waves, assuming you've got that refresh lab maxed out. And that's it. Oh, I've got another 10 gems to claim. I've got gem stacking, so that's a very nice. Hoping to get that up higher as well. Got a lot of fun things to grab. Ooh, we got a nice 25 trillion spike up. Ooh, 28. Ooh, juicy. I thought that my coins per minute was going to take a decrease, but it looks like it took a nice jump there. So that was a nice ending surprise to this. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found something useful out of it. I didn't want to just slap everything onto a tier chart. Wanted you to see, like, okay, how am I dealing with some of these things? Like, my farming's changed. I didn't use orbs before, and now I am. You know, what does that look like? How do I conceptualize this? So now you can kind of see what I'm doing. And it might not be the perfect form that I need to be, you know, farming with orbs, but yeah, it's there. You can see it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will catch you later.